It's midday right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics, a show where we bring you up to speed with the big happenings in politics and in the polity. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Let's get started with the headlines. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer resigns as leader of the Labour Party, making him the fifth at that level to do so in 10 years, announces succession political activities to usher in new Prime Minister. Incumbent Governor of Ekiti State, Biodun Oyebanji, secures landslide victory in governorship polls, making him the first to win 2 successive consecutive terms since the creation of the state. And about 25 people killed following an attack by suspected herdsmen on Kawal community in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. Thanks again for joining us on the program. We understand no fewer than 25 persons have been killed following an attack by suspected herdsmen on Kawal community in Mushere district of Bokos local government area of Plateau State. In a telephone interview with Channels television correspondent, the chairman of Bokos local government, Mr. Samuel Amalo, confirmed the attack, saying the assailants stormed the community at about 12 a.m. on Monday and opened fire on residents. He said the attackers also invaded a primary healthcare center where 4 persons were killed. Although the police is yet to comment, earlier, a youth leader in the community, identified simply as Tula, told Channels television that as many as 30 people were killed in the attack. However, the local government chairman said the casualty figure so far confirmed by authorities stands at 25. Now, let's tell you what's playing out in court just moments ago. I'm sure if you're watching Channels TV, you would have seen that on our scroll where Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court had ordered the remand of Omoyele Sowore, the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress AAC in Kuje Correctional Center. In a short ruling, Justice Umar ordered Sowore to be kept in Correctional Center pending the hearing and determination of his motion for stay of the order for revocation of his bail and bench warrant. Justice Umar also dismissed Sowore's earlier application seeking the judge recusal from the case on the grounds of alleged bias. The judge subsequently adjourned the matter to June the 24th for hearing on the application for stay. The motion was filed by the defendant's new lawyer, Adeyinka Olumide Fushika, SAN. Now, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, has stepped down from his position as Prime Minister. In his statement, he says every decision he made in the office has been about putting the country he loves first. Andy Bowman, who could be taking his place, will be in Westminster today to be sworn in as MP for Macclesfield after winning the by-election last week. There is the expectation that Bowman will be the only candidate to replace Starmer, which means the takeover by late September around the Labour conference.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September. I will remain in post as Prime Minister until the contest is complete. And I will do everything I can to ensure an orderly handover of power. I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, better prepared for the challenges ahead, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office. I want to thank all of those friends and colleagues who have been at my side for these past 6 years or so, for their incredible commitment, service and support. I want to thank the brilliant Number 10 staff and our country's extraordinary civil service who dedicate their lives to public service. And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy.
Borderline emotional Sakir Starmer we're living as Labour leader, of course, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So the time of Theresa May to Liz Truss to Boris Johnson to Rishi Sunak and now Keir Starmer leaving. So the parliamentary system, that's how it works. As soon as there's no vote of confidence on the leader, you're out. That's how it works. But let's come back to Nigeria, where we've been following up on elections. The last couple of elections happened on Saturday, but the most popular was the Ekiti governorship election. But there were about 4 senatorial district elections and about 2 federal constituency elections. But let's head straight to Port Harcourt first, where correspondent Charles Oporum covered the election there, the by-election of that state that had to do with the PDP. Actually, the only place where the PDP won, the rest were won by the APC. Charles, good morning and welcome to the program. Good afternoon, I should say. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. So walk us through how it played out for Rivers State in maybe 3 minutes.
Okay, just like you correctly pointed out, before now, the senator representing the Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, Senator Barinada Mpigi, passed earlier this year. And of course, that particular seat became vacant. Now, INEC had to conduct an election to fill that vacancy. The Rivers Southeast Senatorial District consists of 7 local governments, namely Kana, Gokana, Tai, Eleme, Oyibo, Andoni, and Upobo. These 7 local governments make up that senatorial district. The elections happened on Saturday with a grand total of 51,768 accredited voters taking part in that election, with 51,575 total votes cast. There were just 4 candidates in that election, the candidates of the AA, APC, LP, and the PDP. So these were the 4 parties that took part in that election. The candidate of the PDP, Senator Olakanwogu, many people don't remember that he was actually a senator before Senator Magnus Abbey, took over from him. So he's basically returning to the Senate, more or less. So he won. He was declared a winner by INEC with a total of 47,961 votes. So yeah, generally the elections were peaceful, but there was one complaint, the complaint of the beavers. There were sporadic reports of beavers failure, slowdown of the beavers across different parts of the senatorial district. So that particular challenge was addressed by the head of voter education and publicity at INEC, Geraldine Ekelemo. He says that INEC has taken steps to fix that, and I do hope, because the lady May Abamukembu, INEC's national commissioner, was also in town, for the elections. She says that they have taken steps to rectify that situation, and I hope that it's not going to be a repeat when the 2027 general elections roll through. So by and large, it's been smooth sailing. But yesterday, quickly, Jeff, the candidate of the AA, Fagbeke, said he's rejecting the results and he's going to be challenging the results. So Fagbeke actually of the AA scored 1,175 votes, but he's now saying, no, I reject the results. There was rigging. So, well, we don't know. Any moment from now, we expect him to go.
Yeah, Charles, before I let you, yes, my apologies, before I let you go and bring in my other guest, let's talk about how much the Rainbow Coalition played in this, because what the coalition usually does is shrinks the options available to the people, especially when the big parties have collapsed their interests in one pool.
So interestingly, the Rainbow Coalition backed Senator Olakanwobu. In fact, I covered will I call it an expanded town hall meeting at Eleme's big hall, where members of the House of Assembly from the senatorial district were there, party officials from the PDP were there, the secretary of the APC here in the States, Mr. Eric Mwibani from Tony Apacha's group, was there. And after that, I asked him, I said, Mr. Mwibani, you are of the APC and you're here. Is the APC not fielding a candidate? And he said to me, the APC is fielding a candidate in this election. However, the interests of the Rainbow Coalition is to deliver Senator Olakanwobu. And interestingly, the APC fielded a candidate. His name is Barrister Ebenezer Osaro Kaka. That's his name. So, but generally, they came out en masse to vote Senator Olakanwobu because they said the Rainbow Coalition has chosen him to go to the Senate. So, more or less, the Rainbow Coalition's candidate was Olakanwobu. And interestingly, I must point this out. People think that the Rainbow Coalition is just the APC and PDP. No. There are other parties that make up the Rainbow Coalition here in Rivers State, including the Labour Party, or will I call it a faction, a group of the Labour Party, because the last time they met, elements of the Labour Party were there, and elements of the AA were also there.
All right, Charles, thank you for your reporting. Of course, we'll keep tab on how this will play out in the general election, but once thank you for coming through. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's switch gears now to Ekiti governorship election, where the governor had won with landslide victory over 300 votes. The closest rival, the PDP, won, scored about 40,000. And then you have the ADC scoring about 12,000. Let me bring in my guest. Jide Ojo is a public affairs analyst. Joins us via Zoom. And of course, we also have Mr. Segun Dikwe, is the Ekiti State APC Publicity Secretary, joining us virtually from Ado Ekiti. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Mr. Ojo, your general assessment, yes, welcome. Let's get a general assessment of what you understand to have played out in Ado Ekiti in quick succession, because I have a couple of questions I want to find out from you. This is the first time, at least the jinx has been broken. Biodun Oyebanji is now the first governor of Ekiti State that has won successively. Every other governor has gone and come back later. But what does this say to the level of competition in the governorship election or otherwise of it? Mr. Ojo?
So, thank you very much for having me, Geoffrey. What happened in Ekiti is akin to, first, Ekiti is homogeneous and it's made up of different strata. The political elite in Ekiti decided that they should give Governor Oyebanji a chance to succeed himself. And so you saw a kind of rally of all the former governors queuing up behind him. You also have the different interest groups, the market women, the traders, the artisans, the road transport workers, all of them endorsing him. I recall that his nomination form was also purchased for him by the Ekiti State University Alumni Association. But beyond and above that, you also have a very legal luminary like Chief Afe Babalola also endorsing the re-election of Governor Oyebanji. So by and large, when all of this happened prior to election, and the fact that Oyebanji is married to an Ekiti princess, a princess from Ado Ekiti, all of this counts in his favor. And then the fragmentation of the opposition, the rank of the opposition was divided. And we know there are two factions of PDP, the one loyal to Nyesom Wike, which is the one that Dr. Wale Oluyede belonged. And then you also have the one that belonged to Makinde faction, which lost out in Ekiti. Then even when you look at other parties, many of them could not even afford to field polling agents. Only APC and PDP had over 90% deployment of polling agents. APC only fielded agents in 65% of the polling units. So for the other 12 or 11 parties, they were almost non-existent. They just make up the numbers. So you also see that the APC governors descended on Ekiti. both during the grand finale of the campaign, as well as during the election day, and they were able to provide sufficient logistics for Oyebanji's election. So some of these, including the achievement of modest achievement of Oyebanji himself as an incumbent, may have warranted this landslide victory.
Let me bring in Mr. Digbe. Congratulations to your party. They're in order. That's what should be. I'm talking about congratulating you because your party won. But tell us about what people, some of us have been complaining about. The issue around vote buying and intimidation by, as alleged by the opposition. In fact, the CSO said, look, the vote buying was prevalent and is perpetrated by both the ruling party and the opposition party. But the ruling party is accused of the most, perhaps, because they have the war chest to do the heavy spending. What's your response?
Thank you very much. My response is simple. These are generic allegations. They are allegations that I can close my eyes and I start making. If we are lost, perhaps we will also be talking about losing to vote buying or all these commonplace allegations. But thank God we have won, and they are the ones now making the allegations that are predictable. So if they are talking about vote buying, are they talking about our preparation for the election? Are they talking about the campaign? Are they talking about the goodwill of the governor? Are they talking about the performance of the governor? All these ones add up to give us the victory. If those are the things that are being referred to as the currency for buying the votes, so be it. The governor was well prepared.
Mr. Adikwe, don't, just a moment. I'm going to ask you about between performance and being peace-loving. I'm not mincing words. TSOs have reported there was vote buying. Did your party buy votes or not? It's as straight as it is.
It depends on the currency. The currencies are goodwill. I'm not conscious of Naira and Kobo exchanging hands. But when we talk about the currency of goodwill, yes, we put that in place and we were the most prepared. And we were more prepared than any other party. We were the most settled party. So when we talk about vote buying, maybe you should go to them. Maybe that was what they relied on and it boomerang for them.
All right, Mr. Adikwe, I wasn't saying what the opposition said. I'm saying what observers observed, that all of you were involved in this vote buying. 20,000, 15,000, I think arrest was even made to that effect. Mr. Jide Ojo, you and I, it's none of our business who wins and loses. Ours is what's the process. Talk to us about INEC's performance, and I'll come to Mr. Adikwe in just a moment. INEC's performance, it looks like certain things they got right this time. When we look at the report from the Situation Room, early deployment of materials, although there were issues around in certain places about beavers unlocking early, but generally looks like it was a very fair exercise from the point of INEC. Is that what your people that you've spoken to on ground have reported to you?
Exactly, Geoffrey. In terms of deployment, according to Yaga Africa, unlike in 2022 when polls opened on time, in only 24% of the polling units. In this last Saturday's exercise, polls actually opened in 68% as at 8:30, and by 10, all the polls were open at least in 99%. So that is a plus. Issue of beavers, 84% functionality was recorded by several observer groups. 84%, that means there are 16% places where there are issues, malfunctioning, unlocking, and all of that. But you know, INEC also has made provision for what they call RAC Tech, Registration Area Center technicians, who goes around to troubleshoot when there are issues with beavers. And there is also redundancy. So if if a beavers malfunctions and cannot be immediately remedied, there is a replacement for that polling. And I had in some polling units where elections were delayed for some hours because of this issue. But significantly nobody was disenfranchised, except those who are impatient and have to go back because of the malfunctioning of beavers. Then when you look at the upload on IREF of the result, it was by 8 p.m. over 80% was on IREF. By 10, over 90% of polling units results have been uploaded. Then you look at the seamlessness of the sorting, counting, and announcement, as well as the collation management. It was also seamless. There were no issues of disruption at any of the collation points, whether at the ward level or at the local government level, before you talk of the state level. And result was out in less than 24 hours. In fact, by the time most of us woke up yesterday morning, very early results have already been announced and then declaration made, which also speaks to the result management processes. So to an extent, it's not a perfect election. There are still flaws. Room for improvement is still there. But I think I need to give it to INEC that they are on a very good start for at least this being the first major election under the 2026 Electoral Act. They've been able to get this on the way. But Osun will present a different scenario because Osun has almost double the size of Ekiti. There are 30 local governments in Osun and one area office, unlike 16 in Ekiti. Even in terms of population, in terms of polling units. So the real test will be in Osun. This is just like a dress rehearsal, a kind of pilot, but nonetheless, we should commend INEC and the professionalism of security agencies for not allowing any act of disorderliness. There were only 24 incidents documented by CSOs and only one arrest made as at the evening of Saturday.
Yeah. Let me bring in Ms. Adikwe. Ms. Adikwe, let's talk about, I think PDP scored 40,000 votes, if I'm correct. I think the ADC scored about 12,000 votes compared to over 300,000 scored by the incumbent. What is even more interesting is he won, correct me if I'm wrong, the entire 177 wards. That means the entire 16 local government areas. Is this about his performance? And what is it about his performance you can say that maybe endeared him to the people? Or it's just about some of the shenanigans of politics, if you understand what I mean?
Well, it's well stated, and this is a predictable situation. His performance has been top-notch since day one. He had told everybody what he was going to do, and he rested everything on the 6 pillars of government, which he actually executed to the letter, and he painstakingly met the needs of the people. He did everything that he should do as a governor. He was well prepared for this second term because he knew that this second term will enhance continuity to complete some of the projects he started. So by and large, it has to do with performance. And the performance was deliberate. It was geared towards giving us a good rep during the election. So I must commend the governor. On the other hand, I must commend the electorate, the voters who appreciated what he did. Because if he was doing everything and they were not appreciated, I mean, all these things will not amount to what we got. For context sake, APC got 319,296. APC got 12,000. Between PDP and APC, they got 53, they have got more. So we must commend them too for playing the game the way they played it. But I dare say that the facts speak for themselves. The preparations resulted into what each party got. We were the most prepared, and we doubled the preparation of every party. So yes, the preparation and the results we got tallied with the performance of Mr. Governor.
All right, let me bring in Mr. Ojo as we begin to wind down. You can see the pictures, if my producer can show it. This invasion of governors in elections. At least I can understand Ubasani is the chairman of the Council of Campaign, but I can see, I think senators, like, I don't know, I think I said the Progressive Governors Forum. Was there so much at stake that this number of persons had to show up in Ekiti State? Ojo, Mr. Ojo?
Well, I don't know. Quite unfortunately, it has become the new normal that every election you have governors. And that's why former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will tell you that he's always very scared of off-cycle governorship election because it's an isolated election. Governors will leave their states and descend on that one state where election was holding. When I was in Edo to observe the election that brought in Governor Monday Okpaiolu, that was the same thing. In fact, I shared the same hotel with many of the governors. Over 10 governors were on ground. Doing what? And that's why I think this, much as we cannot say they should not be on ground for their own, the Constitution guarantees freedom of movement and all of that, and none of them were seen casting ballots in Ekiti. But I don't think it is necessary to have this high caliber VIP or VVIP descending on a state just because of one election. And this is quite intimidating as far as I'm concerned. In fact, one issue that I need to flag, which INEC needs to respond to, was that of the chairman of APC in Edo State that was seen in a picture wearing the jacket of INEC monitor. And I think the commission needs to issue a statement. How did that guy come about it? Was it Photoshop or was it a real picture? Who gave him that INEC jacket? He's been identified as the chairman of APC in Edo State. And I think the commission needs to really have a very stern warning to his officers.
Yes.
Because the optics does not look good for the commission. The optics does not look good. That his jacket will be found on a partisan fellow, a chairman of a party contest.
Yes, let me bring in Mr. Dipe so that I can have his last word. Another concern is, I remember years on Wike did, and we're very critical of it, where he was storing some polling units at the FCT election. We've also seen our friend Governor Sani also was literally, I think, if I saw that video very well, also maybe inspecting what was going on at polling units. I don't know whether it's the day of the election, but if that is, INEC needs to respond to that. Mr. Dipe, just in closing, 30 seconds. Why did you need all these governors? I saw Ondo, Imo, Kaduna, Edo, Kogi. Those are the ones I cited. Why do you need all these governors for an all-cycle election with little stakes? Oh dear. Mr. Dipe, that question is actually for you, if you can hear me. All right. I think that's much we can take. Mr. Dipe is the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress in Ekiti State, joining us on the program to review what had played out on Saturday. And of course, our very own Jide Ojo, Public and Political Affairs Analyst, also joined us to make sense of the situation. Mr. Ojo, thank you so much, as always, for coming through for us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Do enjoy the rest of your week.
Absolutely. And that's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.